Hello, fellow Shakespeareans. It's episode 7. What? We're 7 episodes in of SONGspeare 2020. This time it's The Merchant of Venice. Imagine being a Venetian merchant. Here's your boats. You've got them all over the world. They sink. Not good for a merchant in Venice. It's what happens to Antonio. That's part of the plot. The Merchant of Venice includes one song in Act 3, Scene 2, called Tell Me Where is Fancie Bred. It's sung by servants of Portia, most likely, or musicians hired by her, while Bastiano, basically he's trying to solve a riddle where he has to choose between a gold box or a silver box or a lead box, and if he chooses right, then he gets to marry Portia. Because what's better than your dead father making a game out of who you marry? We're going to hear 3 settings of that text. So tell me where is Fancie Bred, tell me where is Fancie Bred, tell me where is Fancie Bred. Fancie Bred and Shakespeare. What more could you want? The Merchant of Venice also has a quote that I didn't realize was in The Merchant of Venice, but I've heard before, and it's a quote I rather like. It goes like this: "The man who hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils. The motions of his spirit are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus. Let not such a man be trusted." I basically feel the same about anybody who's not a fan of SONGspeare 2020, to be honest. Oops. The first setting of Tell Me Where is Fancie Bred, is by Elliott Carter. Now, Elliott Carter lived from 1904 to 2012. He died fairly recently, and if you're counting, yes, he was nearly 104 years old when he died. Elliott Carter was a pretty major figure in modern American music. He wrote a lot of different music in a lot of different styles. He was pretty conversant in more modern musical sounds that are a little more dissonant, a little more adventurous and experimental and new. But as you'll see with this piece, he also could write just kind of backward-looking, more tuneful music. This setting in particular is for guitar, so Elliott Carter is also known by a lot of guitarists because he was one of the modern composers who wrote for that instrument. I appreciate the guitar accompaniment because it feels like something that's a little bit older. It feels like something that could be like a lute accompaniment in a Shakespeare play. And it's, the idea is Bastiano is sort of solving this riddle about the boxes and which one he wants to choose, and this music is supposed to be an accompaniment to that. So I like the image, even though this isn't really meant to be in a stage play. You could almost have it in a stage play as he sort of wanders around and considers each box by itself and the clues that he's been given. I'm also excited to have another collaboration. So playing this song is Sarah Perske on guitar. She's a composer and a guitarist. I met her in college, both during my undergraduate and my graduate studies, and I was really happy to have her. So thank you so much, Sarah, for contributing to this project. Sarah is no stranger to song projects herself, so I will post a link to her website below. Do go check out her stuff. It's pretty cool. She's a composer, she also plays guitar, she also sings, so go look at her website. Without any further ado, here is Elliott Carter's Tell Me Where is Fancie Bred for voice and guitar.
Is Fancie bred, or in the heart, or in the head? How begot undourished? It is engendered in the eyes with gazing fed and and fancy, fancy dies in the let us all ring fancy's knell. I'll begin it. Ding dong, ding dong. Ding dong bell, ding dong, ding dong, ding
The second setting of Tell Me Where Is Fancy Bred is by Elliott Carter. Oh, it's so fancy. Fancy bread. It's got herbs in it, because I made it that way. Elliott Carter wrote a few different Shakespeare song settings. I don't know I can't remember if we've heard anything from him, but we probably will. I've found a lot of his music through this project. He lived from 1886 to 1957. He was a British composer who actually wrote a lot of music. I don't think we tend to perform it very much, but he did sort of grow with the 20th century. So if you think of 1886, he's sort of a bridge into the 20th century, but then he lived until 1957. So his music sort of evolved over time and took different qualities. This setting is a duet, even though you can hear it as a solo, so I invited my baritwin back to sing it with me.
Tell me what is fancy bread. Tell me what is fancy bread. Or in the heart, or in the head. How begotten, nourished, oh, tell me where is fancy us all ring fancy's knell. Let us all ring fancy's knell. Let us all ring fancy's knell. Tell me, where is fancy bred? Tell me, where is fancy bred? All in that, or in the head. How we got on nourished head. Oh, tell me, where is fancy bred? Tell me, where is fancy bred? Ding dong bell. Ding dong bell. Ding dong bell. Ding dong bell. Ding dong bell.
The last piece, excuse me. The last piece is a setting of the same text by Benjamin Britten, although it's published as the title Fancie, spelled I-E, which is probably like one of the older spellings in an earlier version of Shakespeare. That's what I'm assuming. Benjamin Britten needs very little introduction. He's a famous English composer. He's pretty well known for his opera version of A Midsummer Night's Dream, so I didn't include any music of that because it's an opera and this is more of an art song project, but he's definitely a composer that most people should know. If you don't know who Benjamin Britten is, dear Lord, go listen to some Benjamin Britten right now. I guess you're about to. He lived from 1913 to 1976. I mean, he's known for many, many reasons. His music is fantastic. He's also kind of known as a very occasional composer. Most of the pieces he wrote for a specific reason, a specific performance, a specific commission. So his music really, really runs the gamut in terms of style. He's definitely modern. I mean, he's definitely a 20th century voice. A lot of dissonance, a lot of kind of rhythmic invention. But you also get a lot of really tuneful melodies. You get more old music sounds. Some of his folk song settings, which are really popular, are accompanied with harp or completely a cappella. He's a very evocative composer. He's kind of going for a specific thing most of the time. It's not just kind of Benjamin Britten composing in a bubble. He's also known for his relationship with the tenor Peter Pears, and I always think Britten's vocal music, unless it's specifically for a certain voice type, people may be bothered by this, but I don't really care. It always feels like it's sort of for tenor. Peter Pears premiered a lot of Benjamin Britten's vocal works. Most of the folk song settings sit really well in a tenor voice depending what key they're in, and a lot of the time if Benjamin Britten's music seems a little inaccessible or it seems like you can't figure out how to sing it, you can listen to Peter Pears' voice and think, okay, how would Peter Pears have sung it? And suddenly it makes a lot more sense. So I think in general Britten is very interesting because you can always sort of link that to his muse, the kind of love of his life, Peter Pears. I'm very happy to be joined again by Cindy Lindeen-Martin on the piano. It was a little fast for me. I couldn't get my left hand to cooperate. So here is Benjamin Britten's Fancie.
Tell me, where is fancy bred? Oh, in the heart or in the head? How we got our nourished head? Reply. It is engendered in the eyes with gazing fed, and fancy dies in the cradle where it lies. Let us all ring fancy's knell. I'll begin it. Ding Ding dong, ding dong.
So that's it for episode 7 of SONGspeare 2020. Hope you find some fancy bread. The herbs. It really adds quite a lot. It adds a lot. You know, I really think it's more like where fancy, like, imagination? Where is imagination born? Where does it come from? Fantasy, and how is it engendered? And, like, I don't think it's bread. I mean, it's good, but I don't think it's bread. Baritones. Not to sound like a broken record, but like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Tell me what you thought, tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. Pretty shortly, it'll be episode 8, which is Much Ado About Nothing. So there's a lot of music in that, and then after that is As You Like It, which has tons of music in it. So stay tuned for those, and thank you so much for watching.